Welcome to another episode of What's in the Box. Today we are going to talk about some of the equipment we use during a paranormal investigation, and we might even share an EVP or two. Stick around for What's in the Box Paranormal Edition.
Have you tried the #1 rated energy drink yet? RAZE energy drinks feature 0 sugars, 0 calories, 0 carbohydrates, and are full of hydrating energy with no crash. RAZE Energy has become the most popular and best-rated energy drink on the market to date with a long list of phenomenal flavors. Use code RZ4U to get 15% off your order. That code again is RZ4U. That's RAZE Energy Drinks. Visit the website at repsports.com. That's REPPSPORTS.com.
Okay, and welcome back to What's in the Box. On today's show, we are going to talk about paranormal equipment. We may share an EVP or two, and also I'm going to talk about some of the locations that I have investigated that were special or became special to me. Of course, the first thing when we go on a paranormal investigation, we want to take our cameras. The camera I use, that I have, is a Sony AX53 that has night vision on it. Of course, you can add an extra IR light to this and you get a fantastic picture for night shots. I wished I'd had this camera earlier in my filmmaking. When I was making quite a few paranormal films and Bigfoot films. I've not done as much of that the last probably 2 years. COVID kind of knocked some of that in the head because nobody wanted to gather up and didn't want to let you in the buildings. And for Bigfoot, I have mostly had to do it solo, which I've done solo a lot myself. But the AX53 by Sony that has the night shot on it, it actually films in 4K. There's a very good camera. It has an anti-shake built in. That's probably the best I've seen. I guess it's consumer pro level. It's not actually a professional, I guess, level, but it's close. You can get high quality shots with it. We actually used that in making Bigfoot the Legend is Real, and I think the quality of that film turned out very well. But that's one thing that you got to have when you go on a paranormal investigation. If you're really halfway serious about it, you do want to take a quality camera that's got night vision on it. If you have extra cameras, you want to set those up, but they must, also have night vision, or you'll have to rig up some kind of lighting system where it can have enough light to operate. We normally take a K2 meter. You've seen this used on almost all ghost hunting programs. It's pretty standard issue equipment for ghost hunting. And there's a lot of other things. It's much to do with the individual of what they want to take on a paranormal investigation. And sometimes the location may play a part in what you bring. If it's a small area, you may not be able to bring some of their equipment that you would like to use in or something that you would use in a larger building. We normally take, I got a couple laser pointers that will do a grid. Sometimes those are helpful. They're kind of inexpensive. You can get them off of eBay, but now they do eat the batteries pretty fast. But if you can get 2 or 3 hours of it making a grid against the wall at night, and you're filming it, you got your camera up, you possibly catch shadows and things like that. But one of the main staples that we've always used, and I think most people enjoy using them, even though the evidence is is sometimes questionable by people. And some people don't understand exactly how these machines work. They want to say you're listening to radio and it's snippets of the radio coming in and stuff like that. It is a spirit box or a ghost box. I've actually got 3 ghost boxes, 3 spirit boxes. I have got, not counting, there's actually a couple of good quality apps too that you can use. Now you got to be careful with the apps because some of those are really suspect. They're not really what they're cracked up to be. But there's a couple good ones out there. There's the Spirit Box 7 app is actually pretty good, and I have a Ghost Box, which is the MK4 made by Nigel Mortimer in the UK. Is it will let you Bluetooth your app using your cell phone to that speaker and that device, and it really seems to work very well. That way you can take the SB7 app, sync it to the box, and you got a real loud speaker there that works. I found that to be pretty effective as far as apps go. It's one of the probably the best ones I've found, to be honest with you. The MK4, which is made by Nigel Mortimer in the UK. I have his earlier version of that, which did not have a continuous sweep. It would do a few sweeps, and then you would have to push a button to make it sweep. But it has for the money and for the price, it has an excellent sound when you do get an EVP that comes through. And then I bought the updated version of that from Nigel, which has a continuous sweep, which you can adjust the sweep rate on. I've not had a chance to really use it a whole lot, but it has all the same features as the original MK4. But this one has the continuous sweep, which I like. It's got built-in reverb and a host of other things. It's really a good box for the money, and the sound quality is pretty good as far as getting the EVP. And another box that I really like is the SB11, which was the sequel to the SB7, if I'm not mistaken. I think it just skipped all the way up to 11. That's been a very successful box for our investigations that we've been on. One thing that you will need to do if you use a spirit box is you also need a quality audio recorder. We've got a little Sony that we use, and there's several other brands you could get that's a digital recorder that will record hours and hours and hours of audio. The little Sony that I have, it's kind of a workhorse. We kind of joke about it that it's a workhorse for us. It's very dependable. Sound quality is good. Because many of these EVPs you may find actually when you go back and listen to the recording, but sometimes they come through actually pretty clear. But the SB11 is really a good box. It's the one I have, which I'm sure most of them are. They have a built-in temperature sensor that you can turn on or off if there's a fluctuation in temperature, so many degrees. It sets off an alarm. It has a built-in flashlight. You can turn on or off that way. It's got a little mute button where if you're going to ask your questions while you're doing an investigation, you push the button, you ask your question, push it again, and it starts scanning through the stations again. And it also has the option to turn the antenna on or off. And depending on where you're at, that could be a useful function. Now, here in my little corner of the world, we don't have very many radio stations. But if you're in a city and you have a lot of radio stations, you may want to cut that off when you're doing the EVP session. So what we're going to do now, I think I'll take just a little break, play a little advertisement, and then we come back. I'm going to play you an EVP. Stay tuned. If you haven't heard, Anchor's the easiest way to make a podcast, and it's totally free to use. There's tons of creation tools that help you record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor also distributes your podcast to numerous outlets, bringing you a large audience. Everything you need in one place to create a podcast. Download the free app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. All right, and welcome back again. Now, this next little segment, we're going to talk about EVPs a little bit more, electronic voice phenomenon. This EVP I'm fixing to play you, you're probably going to have a hard time hearing it. This was captured in a house when we was making a film. The name of the film that we made was called the Hembree House. The Hembree House. The film turned out very well, and there was quite a bit of evidence we caught. A couple of interviews. It's a good little documentary about the house, local location. What's interesting, how we became involved with this house, was that there was actually shooting a movie there titled The Evening Hour, which it's out now on Amazon, which I'm going to watch it. I was on set for that a little bit and got to meet some of the guys and see how they do things. But anyways, before they actually came to film this, the house had to be cleaned up. And some of the people who was helping clean the house had saw a little girl there and had some weird stuff go on. So that kind of got us involved as a documentary filmmaker, in the paranormal and Bigfoot realm. It kind of got us involved in the film, or in the house and the location, and we actually made a film, a documentary about the house and its history. And any time that we are filming, we like to frame our questions in a way where we can get an intelligent response. I know a lot of times we say, "Is anybody here?" What's your name? Say my name, stuff like that, and that's okay to try to get some reaction. But sometimes we like to ask pinpoint questions about the locations, about a person who lived there, or history, something to do historical with the location that we know and we've been able to back up. And then sometimes we like to go totally off script, and a lot of times this doesn't make it into the film. We'll ask questions about the other side, and our questions may be totally random while we ask about the other side. And I'm still a firm believer that there is a hierarchy on the other side, that there's certain things they cannot tell us, there's certain things they cannot talk about, but that there are entities that are stronger than others on the other side, and there's somebody or some entity above them all that controls information in some way that they can't talk about, and things like that. There's definitely a hierarchy on the other side, in my opinion. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to play a EVP that we got. It's probably going to be a little bit hard to hear, and this was something that, of course, didn't make it into the film, but it was an interesting response. My question at the time was, what happened to the Nephilim, the offspring of the fallen angels? And sometimes our questions that don't make it into the film were biblical, or maybe about Bigfoot or whatever. It was usually not related to the actual investigation of the property or the entity maybe that lived there. It was something totally random. So what I'm going to play you now is my question and the response. And it's probably going to be hard for you to hear, so I'll probably have to tell you what it says. But I'm going to play that right now for you. What happened to the fallen angels? Where are they now? What happened to the fallen angels? Where are they now? Now, I don't know if you could hear that or not. I played it twice. The question is, what happened to the fallen angels? To the Nephilim. And it says, big flood. And if you know anything about the Bible, if you know anything about the fallen angels, according to the Old Testament, the fallen angels were wiped out by the big flood. So that's totally random. When I first actually got this EVP, I thought it said Bigfoot, but when you actually get it on, a monitor and you get to listen to it, it actually says Big Flood, which makes sense. So that's one of the things, and that was captured, if I'm not mistaken, that was captured on an SB11 ghost box. The SB11 is really a good box, in my opinion. But that was just one of the few, one of the many things that we've caught over the years. Now I'd like to talk to you about maybe some of my locations that I've been in that were special to me. Our team at the time, we went to the Monroe House in Indiana. That was a really interesting investigation. We actually stayed overnight and slept in the house. Very nice people that own the property, and they're very nice to help you. Michael Diddy Jr. was there. He's kind of the resident ghost hunter for the property. He was there and took part in our little documentary film we was making. But that property is very interesting. It's one of my not my favorite place, but it was one of my favorite places to investigate. We actually caught some stuff. That film is actually out too. It's called The Mysterious Monroe House. It's done pretty well. It's been out for a couple years now. I think you can actually find it on Tubi TV and Amazon and several other places. But that was an interesting location for us, and the house itself. If you've ever watched anything on the Winchester House, how there's always a lot of little turns and crooks, and you may open a door and there's nothing there, or there's a little offset and there's nothing there, that house is very similar to that, how it's kind of chopped up, and it's got a really long history. Lots of different stories associated with the house. Nick Groff is actually one that investigated that place a lot and found some stuff in the basement, but we had a lot of weird things going there, and we actually slept there overnight, caught some stuff while we were sleeping, and it's in the film. But that was a real good location for us. My favorite place that I've investigated is the Benham Theater in Harlan County, Kentucky. Benham. That was there was just something about that location that it really struck a core with me, and we caught some amazing evidence. The film has not performed well on Amazon or in these other places that it's on. It never has performed well, but that was, to me, that if I could go back and investigate someplace tonight, that's where I'd want to go. That was I just connected with that place, with the theater. The history of the theater, which we present in the film, is awesome, and it goes all the way back to when these coal companies were real prominent in this area, and they all tried to provide entertainment for their workers and their family. And almost every little coal camp had some type of theater or entertainment, and they all tried to outdo each other and try to get the biggest celebrities and stuff like that. And had some big names like Roy Rogers and Lash LaRue and people like that would come and put on little shows at these theaters. But that place just struck a core with me, and I really connected with the entities there. If that's, I guess that's the proper way of saying it. I know we done 2 nights in there, I believe, 2 different nights, and there was only 3 of us there. The caretaker let me in, and as him and I were walking down to turn on the lights, this is on the second night, you can hear voices coming from the balcony, hollering at us. And I asked him, I said, "Did you hear that?" He said, "I sure did." But we was there previously, and I really felt a connection with some of these entities, and we caught some amazing evidence at that location. And if I could go back and hunt a place tonight, that would be the place I would go. And another place that I enjoyed was Portal 31, which it's an old coal mine that they turned into a tourist attraction where they ride you on a rail in the mine, and they got several displays set up, and they tell you about the history of the mine and and all that stuff. That was an interesting place as well. That I liked it pretty good, even though I couldn't really, in some areas I couldn't stand up all the way because I'm kind of a tall guy, and I would hit my head and then have to kind of duck over. But we caught some pretty good evidence there, and but the location and the history is very fascinating for me. But if I had to pick one awesome place to investigate tonight, it would be the Benham Theater. That place is just amazing. And when we was up there doing the documentary, the mayor, Miss Wanda, was very open and kind to us, and let us look at the archives and told us stories. And sadly, she passed away a couple years ago. She was a really nice person and was really forthcoming with things that she knew about the town and things she knew about the theater, and was just a kind of an open book for us. And she had a lot of stories and a lot of history, and sadly, a lot of that when she passed away, a lot of that is now gone. But anytime you go on a paranormal investigation, there's a great host of equipment that you could use, REM pods, all kinds of meters, and there's just a ton of stuff out there. But you can get started, you know, with on a small budget with just a recorder, a digital recorder. You don't have to have a ghost box, and we can catch EVPs just on a digital recorder. But if you can get a ghost box, you can get a decent ghost box for. Sometimes you can get them for around $100, $125, which is not too bad. So getting into ghost hunting it don't have to be expensive, and you can add tools as you go. But I've had a good time doing that. I wish I could do some more of it, in the coming months. But wintertime it's a little bit more difficult. But it's fun. I mean, you want to always have permission and things like that, and finding out later the EVPs, how they play into the history of the building and things like that, is always kind of fascinating. It's a mystery, and anytime there's a mystery, there's also an opportunity. And when there's opportunity to learn and learn something new about an area, about yourself, it's just anytime there's a mystery and you can get in and find clues and solve it, it's a growing process, and it's an opportunity for you to learn more about the area or whatever. But I've had a good time doing being at these locations, and there's several places I would like to go and investigate. We did a live group investigation at the Bell Theater in Pineville, which was we had a lot of interaction that night, which was unexpected because I didn't know a whole lot about the theater. I'd been there for a long time, but I didn't know much about the paranormal aspect of it, and neither did any of us actually. But we got some response there. That's a place I wouldn't mind going and checking out again and do it proper, with more equipment and not with a group. This was a group function we had after an event, which was pretty cool. But the main thing is, if you want to do paranormal research and you want to do ghost hunting, there's a host of equipment out there you can use, and you can start off small and slow, and flashlights, but don't do the flashlight trick where you loosen it up, and that's not really entities doing that. That's heat causing it to expand and contract and making it flicker. It's not really a good way to judge paranormal activity. But you can get you a digital recorder, cheap camera, or even use your cell phone or something like that. But the main thing is to be safe and to have permission. But I think I'll wrap up this episode for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed to hear about some of my little stories and some of this equipment that we use. The main work when we do a paranormal investigation or any film is that when we come back home, we put it on our computer, and we got a variety of software we can enhance and slow down and speed up and run filters on it, and there's a whole great host of stuff you can do. And a lot of this software is free. Some of it you have to buy, but it's a big project if you're doing a film. But if you're just doing a small investigation where you're maybe a couple hours out somewhere, you can bring your audio home and put it on your computer and run it through some software, and see if you hear anything. And who knows, you may catch something that's amazing that may only pertain to you. But I hope you enjoyed this little episode, and I appreciate you guys for listening. And until next time, I'll be seeing you.
Now available on Tubi TV. Bigfoot the Legend is Real. The ultimate Bigfoot documentary is now playing on Tubi TV and features some awesome witness interviews as well as some amazing Bigfoot evidence. That's Bigfoot the Legend is Real. Look for it on Tubi TV. Now playing with no paying. Watch for free on Tubi TV. Also available on Amazon, the Roku channel and Plex TV.